Ford Edge is only on its first facelift in its relatively young life, but the real remodeling has taken place under the hood. Let's drive this 2012 Edge Limited with the little 2-liter EcoBoost motor and check the tech. Okay, normally we start these videos inside the car, but the best tech story in this guy is under the hood, because this Edge is a 2.0-liter EcoBoost motor. 2-liter inline-4 sitting side saddle, the kind of engine you expect to find in a very small car like a Focus or something, not in a 2-ton crossover SUV. What they've got going on here is Ford's EcoBoost. That's two key technologies. It's twin turbocharging, so the turbocharging is optimized for different parts of the RPM band, and that's an important Achilles heel to overcome with turbos. And secondly, direct injection. That means the gasoline is squirted under really high pressure right into the cylinder, right by the spark plug. That allows the fuel to be metered precisely, you don't waste any, and to be squirted in there right at the moment the detonation wants to happen, so you're not getting any kind of a sloppy burn. This also allows the fuel to remain cooler, relatively, when it's in the cylinder before detonation. This is important when they design engines because it lets them have a higher compression ratio, the ratio of which the engine, the piston, and the cylinder compress that air and fuel before it explodes. By doing that, you get more power out of the gasoline you use, but the trick is you tend to get spark knock, that detonation sound that a bad engine has. By having the cooler fuel charge, you can get around that. All of this adds up to 240 horsepower, 270 foot-pounds of torque. That's a big torque number out of this little mill. It moves this 4,000-pound beast, which, by the way, is about the heaviest in its class, up to 60 in about 8.8 seconds. Not bad. We'll see how it is on the road, but the key is the MPG number. They get 30 highway out of this combination. That's psychologically really important when you're marketing a car. 30 is one of those big numbers. 21 city, and as we're going to see, the combined real-world average is quite nice. Let's go inside first. Okay, I know the first thing on your mind is, does this vehicle have the upgraded My Ford Touch that'll shut me up from complaining about how slow and complicated the other version is? The answer is no, so I'm still going to complain a little bit. This is the outgoing generation of My Ford Touch that is just too busy and responds too slowly to touch commands. Ford knows, they've got a new version coming. I've tested it out on the auto show circuit, and it's much crisper. We'll see that in a couple of months. That said, you're also going to notice here a lot of touch controls. This won't be changing. These are the kind of things that you just put your hand over. No button actually moves. They're capacitive, I believe. I'm okay with these. I don't need this kind of convenience on something as simple and positive as climate control. I still like a knob for temperature and maybe another one for the fan. This just seems needlessly delicate for something that doesn't need delicacy. It needs positive feedback and an easy grip. So here's this gearbox that is the only choice on the 2-liter EcoBoost. It's a 6-speed automatic, period. Notice the gate. PRNDL, kind of going back 50 years, right? No paddle shifters, no shiftable section, no shifting rocker on the side. This is a very straightforward automatic transmission. We'll see how it plays out on the road. The key to this engine is what gear you're in. All cars these days seem to be programmed to seek top gear all the time. It's really infuriating, but that's one of the key ways they get MPG out of these things, is run them along at 1100 RPM when you're cruising on the freeway, sometimes lower. With this engine, because it's small displacement and it's got to spool up to create its power, those top gears can get in the way and make it feel really leaden until it spools up, changes a gear or two, and then off you go. It's not turbo lag so much as it is mode lag. This transmission's part of the issue. It's a very standard 6, as we saw. If it had a sport mode or was programmed a little more aggressively to hop down a gear, this car would get much snappier, but that would probably shave off those few MPG that separate this guy from the V6, so it's probably not a point to be made. All in all, the car drives well. It does not feel like the engine is overmatched, just needs a little thinking. But I like driving it. Regardless, your payoff is right there on the MPG display. I got between 23 and 24 mixed real-world driving, moving 2 tons of big, tall, square metal around with a 2-liter 4. Okay, let's take this guy and doll it up CNET style. First of all, I'm going to go with that 2-liter EcoBoost 4. Looks like a pig on paper. As we saw, it drives a lot better than that in real life. The MPG boost over the V6 is not night and day. You're not going to save enough to buy a house with the amount of gas you don't use, but it's an important threshold that it gets to in real world and highway MPG. In terms of the cabin tech, I'm going to go with that 301A package to get navigation, dual panoramic roof, the keyless, the better lights, all that stuff. But I'm not going to do any of that until, let's say, early Q2 of 2012, when this guy comes out with the new MyFord Touch firmware. That is key. The early edition I saw is a whole lot better, and that really makes this car in terms of a central screen interface.